want to please everybody. You want to go through this pattern of, you go to school, and you get your post-secondary education, you get your job, find your partner, get married, have kids, have your dog, white picket fence, your mortgage, and then sail off into the sunset, right? But we all know that life doesn't work like that. And then we kind of get slapped with the reality of life, and then we have to figure out what we're going to do with that. And I'm not going to glorify my divorce and make it seem like this is the worst thing in the world that could happen, because I know that within this room, we all have those moments. We all have something, whether it's a sickness or loss of a loved one or loss of a job, or we have mental health issues. All of us have something. So for me, it may be divorce. For you, it may be something else. But that is what I call our checkpoint. That point in our lives where we have to decide what we're going to do. Are we going to reinvent ourselves? Are we going to redefine ourselves? Or are we going to choose to just stay in this place of bitterness and stuckness? And for myself, that redefining moment came in what I'd consider a peculiar package. I have a friend who lives in Japan, and he came over the summer, and after going through my divorce, I had a lady friend, and we were hanging out, and he came from Japan, and we got to hang out together. It was a fun time. And then he went back to Japan, and my girlfriend at the time, she was a stewardess, a flight attendant. So she was like, you know what? Since I used to be a flight attendant, I still have my buddy passes and connections with that. So how about we just eeny, meeny, miny, moe it across Japan? And I was like, how about no? Because I am a firstborn, as I mentioned before, and that seems so scary because I'm just so structured and organized, and everything needs to have this perfect plan to it. And her and her free spirit wants to just jump on a plane with a backpack and just figure this out. So I was not going to happen. And I thought about it for a while, and after a lot of consideration and prayer and fasting and psychotherapy and stuff, I was like, okay, you know what? We can do this. We could do this. Okay, so we go. And then we end up, in Japan, Narita, biggest airport I've seen in my life. We go and get our little Wi-Fi packet there so we could do our Wi-Fi while we're there on our phones. And we get into the train station, and it's the biggest train station I've seen in my life. And I take out my phone, and I get my friend on the line, and I say, okay, we're here. And the text message that he sends me is as follows. So you're going to take the route to Narita to Nipuri on the blue line, not the JR line, but the Nipuri to Ikebura to the JR green line, but not the red line to And I read this, and my heart sinks. Absolutely sinks. I'm like, this is the very moment I was fearing and coming here. And I figured, okay, well, I can't stay in this train station for the whole trip. So we're going to have to man up a little bit and get on with this trip. So we do that. We figure that out. And I have the best time of my life. 10 days, 11 cities. And we go through Japan, and literally it's eeny, meeny, miny, moe we got on the train, we find our hotel, we went to Kyoto, and we stayed near the Imperial Palace, saw the beautiful palace, the palace grounds there. And then the next day we go to Nara, and Nara has deer that are just roaming the streets. And you get to just, pet these deer. And Alex was this deer whisperer, and then they follow her around and stuff. We go to the plains, and there's monkeys up in this plateau, and we climb these hills to these monkey parks and stuff, and just saw all these beautiful things that were so outside of myself that I wouldn't have saw if I didn't move in that same direction of the very thing that I feared. We went to this place called Mihu Beach. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but when we had our little baskets and we were riding around these rental bikes and stuff, they were saying that Mihu Beach is the best place to see Mount Fuji because you have this clear view from across the water. So we get on our bikes, and there's a boardwalk there, and we ride up to this boardwalk, and as the boardwalk goes around, there's the evergreen forest there. And in North America, this means nothing to us, right? Like, it's just a forest, but this forest is fabled for a place where a fisherman had met with an angel. So all these people from China, there was thousands of tourists here that came to see this ancient evergreen forest. And if you ever look at any pictures of Mount Fuji, there's always these evergreen trees in the foreground of these pictures. And it makes all these connections. And I'm like, this is so amazing to see, and to think I never would have received this experience that money really can't buy if I was to stay within myself and stay within what was comfortable. And our trip went on like this, and it was just an amazing experience, and I keep thinking about these things. But I do have one favorite moment from this whole trip when I was in Japan. And we were riding on this boardwalk, and as we were riding up the boardwalk, I hear this music playing, and it's reggae. I'm like, is that reggae? Like we're in Japan. We're on the south beach of Japan on a boardwalk 4 hours from Tokyo in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And Bob Marley, One Love, is playing, and it's a band. And so as we ride up, there's a Japanese band, of this cover band, doing these songs. And if you could see the look on these guys' face when a black guy rides up on the south shores of Japan, 4 hours from Tokyo, you know that these guys that morning woke up and said, let's do a Bob Marley cover. And someone's like, you sure you want to do that? And then they'd be like, who's going to know? We're in Japan. Like, what? And then I roll up, and you can see on their face, everything just dropped in them when they saw this guy come up. And I think, if I had said no to that experience, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to hear bad reggae on a boardwalk in the south of Japan, 4 hours from Tokyo. So, and that's the thing with this whole thing, right? Like, we have to go to this place where we feel like we have to step outside of ourselves and do something that's uncomfortable and move in the direction of that fear. And it's kind of like the example of lions. And lions, when they hunt, I've watched this a couple times, I've heard this story, and it really spoke to me. When a lion hunts, let's say that there's a zebra here, and the lion sees the zebra and he roars. And so after he roars, of course, the zebra runs away from the lion, right? So he runs in this direction only to be ambushed by lions that are just waiting and hiding. So every time I see that, Animal Planet, whoever watching, I always think to myself, what would happen if that zebra had ran in the direction of the single lion? Could have made like a sudden move, right or left, get into the water and escape to that freedom. Instead, he ran in the direction that ultimately got him stuck. And then that draws the same connection to myself. I think about myself and my situations, and how many times have I chosen to run away from something only to end up in the exact same situation, more peril than what I was running away from? How much freedom would I have experienced if I actually ran in the direction of the roar, in the direction of that single lion? Those times at work when you get so frustrated, you throw your hands up and you just walk out of the job and you quit and you get in the next job, and the same person or different people backstab you the same way they did in the last job. Or in a relationship, we never want to get hurt again, so we keep those guards up, and then we end up getting hurt by people every single time because we never actually deal with our issues. What freedom is waiting for us when we run towards a war? That's the thing that I came to a conclusion for myself. I was so challenged by that even in my own relationships, after seeing my marriage dissolve, I said, I'm never going to get married again. I'm never going to do this again. Never going to do that. And I had to come to a place of saying, like, listen, I have to run towards a roar in all these situations so that I could actually get my freedom, actually get that happiness, actually enjoy a trip, actually hear bad reggae. We never get to a place of experiencing that freedom unless we actually run towards the roar. Thank you. That's my time for today.